This is AMs with Annette, 11 AMs weekdays, coming to you on pretty much all platforms. We are live on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, and of course inside the Uncover Wealth community, my private Facebook group as well. So we are live all over the place. So thank you so much for everyone who is tuning in and joining me today. This, as I said, is AMs with Annette. And at the moment, we are covering UK business and coronavirus updates. For those of you that don't know me, if you have not tuned into any of my sessions before, my name is Annette Ferguson. I am CEO of Annette & Co, UK-based accounting firm. I am a chartered accountant and certified Profit First professional. And we help business owners take home more money from their business for them and their families to enjoy. Of course, at the moment, that is incredibly challenging for many businesses, which is exactly why I decided to start AMs with Annette weekdays at 11 to support you both during this time and of course beyond as well. So thank you everyone who is tuning in. I do appreciate it. Eloisa, thank you for joining me. Karen, Calvin, Barry, thank you for joining me. Everybody who is tuning in. Leanne, thank you for joining me on whichever platform you are on. I do very much appreciate it. So thank you for that. So today's session, I want to start off by speaking about a number of job losses that are happening, of course, yesterday and most days. In fact, we've been speaking about the potential for very high rates of unemployment, predictions saying that around 15% minimum, up to potentially 25% of the workforce will be out of work. So that is at least 5 million people. Of course, that puts a huge toll on the society of the UK, on the economy of the UK, and of people's lives and families and friends and all those things. So it's it's very challenging to have a country with high unemployment. Marlborough has announced that they are cutting a quarter of their workforce. BP said that 15% of staff will also be cut in redundancies. We've also heard from Airbus. Yesterday, I spoke about the motor industry, Bentley, Aston Martin, McLaren. EasyJet is warning that more job losses are to come as well. That is just to name a few of those businesses that are announcing job losses. Now, what we do know, of course, as well, is that further into this month, the further we get into June, we are going to start hearing more and more of these job losses and potential redundancies as a result of how the redundancy legislation works in terms of notice periods, etc., that are required. If companies want to have people redundant before the time kicks in, that they are required to pay out money under flexible furlough. So we are likely in June to see a lot of redundancies announced, both big and small companies making quite substantial redundancies, it would appear. So very challenging time for the employees and of course for any business owners that are making people redundant. It is an incredibly stressful and difficult thing to do, decision to come to, decision to have to make. So very difficult for any small business owners or micro business owners that are making those decisions at this point in time as well. Good morning. Thank you, Hotel Organic. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you for tuning in, Simon. Thank you for tuning in, James. I do appreciate it. So thank you for joining me today. This is your UK business and coronavirus update, covering various announcements that have been made over the last 24 hours. Typically is, of course, AMs with Annette as well, 11 AMs weekdays. And at the moment, we are covering UK business and coronavirus updates as well. And a little bit of the finances around Brexit too, and those things that are impacting or going to be impacting UK business as a result of that happening and being in the background pretty much at the moment as well. So we're hearing that UK landlords are facing widespread loss of rental income from restaurants as some of the biggest chains close sites and start insolvency proceedings. This, of course, is going to be another reason for the job loss situation, which we've just spoken about, is that there is going to be an increase in the number of companies starting insolvency proceedings, going into insolvency, and as a result, therefore, workforce being made redundant as well, not just people scaling back who are still operating. We're going to have a double whammy there. We already know that Prezzo, Byron, and Giraffe are some of the businesses that are already under creditor voluntary arrangements, so started those liquidation proceedings. We've also heard that Pizza Express is also considering a CVA, a creditors voluntary arrangement. We know that Pret and Leon are negotiating with landlords at this current point in time, and Burger King wants to negotiate for a turnover-based rent model. Turnover-based rent model is quite common in the US, whereby your rent is paid as a proportion of turnover. So during this time when businesses were unable to trade, of course, it would have meant rates going to zero, or there may have been a minimum amount. And that is one thing that people in the UK are starting to call more for. Now, there's a big problem with that if you're a landlord, because you can't control how successful the business is going to be that's in your premises. You can't make them a better business owner or more profitable business owner. You can't make footfall come to them. The businesses in the premises, how well they do in normal trading times is up to them. And it's not anything you as a landlord can impact. Therefore, it feels a very difficult one for landlords to want to go down. Now, of course, in high times where there's lots of spending, you might be better off because, of course, if the business is performing very well, but again, like I say, it's completely out with your control. And whether you want that or not as a landlord, you have to ask that question. I certainly think if I was a commercial landlord, I wouldn't want my rent based on the business's success or failure. I would want it based on property value, what I can get for that. So that's a big issue that's facing us at the moment as well. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in. I do very much appreciate everyone who's hopping on. I appreciate the loves, the likes, the thumbs up, the hearts, whichever platform you are on whichever method that has. I do very, very much appreciate it. I appreciate all the follows for people who follow me as a result of catching this broadcast. And of course, the shares when you share this out as well. So thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. Yeah, Jamie is saying, if I was a commercial landlord, I would definitely be considering carefully the tenancy notice terms. Yeah, exactly, Jamie. There's going to be a lot of issues with commercial tenancies at the moment, and commercial landlords are in a very difficult position just now. Absolutely. Of course, we have a period of time where they are not allowed to evict tenants for non-payment of rent, but we've also got June rent quarter bills coming up as well. There's been a lot of talk in the past about whether some kind of rent furlough might exist. It's worked well in other countries, whereby the landlord agrees to a rent reduction, the tenant agrees to pay a certain amount of rent, and the government covers an amount in the middle. That has not been agreed in the UK, but has worked well in other countries. And there has been discussions about why are we not pursuing that in the UK at the moment, but we are not. Yeah, Jamie, it is commercial too. Commercial, it applies to commercial landlords as well in terms of, I think you're asking in terms of those, the eviction situation. And yes, it does currently apply to commercial too, which I believe runs out at the end of June for commercial. I haven't seen that's been extended, but I will check on that situation. I'm going to take a drink of my tea as well. Any questions that you have on this, please do ask me in the comments. I'm happy to answer any of those. The Treasury has also revealed a £38 million support package for debt advice providers to help support people during the pandemic. Of course, debt advice providers have seen an increase in the number of calls to them, in the number of hits on their website, including the charities in that debt sector. And the government has said that they are going to give them a support package in addition to the other charity support that has been announced in order to try and help and support people at this time who are reaching out to those debt advice centres and those debt lines as well. In Brexit business finance related news, under the term kind of trade tariffs. In the event of a no deal, what we're hearing is that basically the cost of goods will increase, because at the moment, of course, 100% EU imports are tariff free. They're not subject to trade tariffs. But in the event of a no deal Brexit, it's looking to be about 44% of goods that are coming over from the EU would be tariff free. That is going to have a knock-on effect. That is going to mean an increase in the cost of goods in the UK, an increase at a point in time when we'll be in recession, and there's already going to be pressure on the system, on spending, on people's households, on businesses. So that's going to be a very tricky situation if we end up in that position where we are in a no-deal situation, with those increased costs as well for businesses and for individuals too. So difficult situations there. I can see we've got some questions coming in. Barry saying, Pizza Express are used by utility warehouses as part of one of their offers. You wonder if they'll change that. No idea, Barry. All I know is that they are in discussions over creditors' voluntary arrangements. So it would likely that the liquidators would stop that situation. But I don't know. I'm not sure about how that might work. Jamie is saying, hoping the UK goes down the EFTA route with Brexit. Yeah, absolutely, Jamie. It's an interesting time with that to see actually what will happen around that. Of course, it is going to impact both businesses and individuals as well. So it's definitely something that we need to keep an eye on as to how it might impact us, and of course, be planning for any impact as well. So important stuff to note there with that. I appreciate everyone who is tuning in. This is AMs with Annette, your UK business and coronavirus update, 11 AMs UK time. We are live on pretty much most of our platforms that we have available. We can't go live yet on LinkedIn, so we're not live on LinkedIn yet, unfortunately, but we are live on most other platforms as well. Of course, today being Tuesday, as I am recording this, I also have Training Tuesdays inside the Uncover Wealth community. That is my private Facebook group. Every single Tuesday, I have a specific training in there. It is exclusive to that group. I do not share it out or host it anywhere else. So I would love if you want to join me in there. If you are a business owner, I invite you to do that. You can just search in the Facebook search bar, Uncover Wealth Community under groups, and you can complete the answers for the questions and hit join, and you can come in there. Today's topic for Training Tuesday is your business model ready to stand the test of time? Now, if you're watching this video on a replay and it's after Tuesday, that's okay too, because you can still hop in and catch the replay inside the Uncover Wealth community. So I do invite you to do that, and I would love to see you there. Until tomorrow, of course, we have our 11 AMs AM with Annette once again. Again, very similar discussions around the government, around the support available, the banks, business in general, the economy, all those topics which I typically discuss on AMs with Annette. So I'm back here at the same time as well, again, wherever you are watching, to cover off those things. Thank you so much, everyone who's tuning in today. I have covered everything I have on my list to speak to you guys about today. So thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate your time as always. It is incredibly precious. So thank you for spending some of it with me.